Two. Let's make sure all audio is cracking right now. We're going to talk about Conor McGregor's return against Max Holloway. Obviously, not the conventional preview show. Obviously, I've done a prediction show on it, which I put on a members only, which, by the way, I will do another one to sort of recap it by the end of the fight week or so. But either way, this is not about the kicks and the punches, but rather the viewership behind Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. Now, why is that important to talk about? The viewership that is going on with Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. Well, I need people to understand that it is not the same Conor McGregor anymore. Okay, that is the best way to really put it. He says, now that is some clickbait that I've ever seen. Well, let's hope that there is some positive responses to it. But believe it or not, I actually genuinely feel that way, Marty. Now, the reason why I feel that way is because not so much of an anti-Conor McGregor stance or anything like that, or any type of animosity towards him or Max Holloway or the UFC. None of that, right? It's simply understanding the local climate that is going on right now. Okay, the World Cup is one pure example of that. That's one example, right? Why this is going to be a distraction from from that matchup period. Remember, there's going to be semifinals going on in the World Cup as this matchup is going on. This particular card in retrospect to Conor McGregor and Max Holloway UFC 329 is going on. They're going to have the World Cup semifinals. So let's take the Irish, for example. Okay, your team, Ireland, is not in there. England is in there. Maybe England is a team that you would root for. That is, of course, if you don't attach any, Irish politics behind it. Or maybe you're a supporter of Brazil, like Ian Gary, right? Ian Gary, as you know, would probably be supporting Brazil right now in the World Cup because that is the only country that is in close proximity to what he is tied to, right? So either way, the Irish, for the most part, are going to be fixated on the World Cup. They're going to be fixated on other things that are going on in their country, not just sports in particular. Maybe there are other local politics that is going on. But rest assured, it is important to understand that Conor McGregor's popularity in Ireland has absolutely declined. Okay, and let me explain why. The reason for the decline of Conor McGregor in Ireland, right, which is what we're going to talk about here more importantly, okay, more than the kicks and the punches. Number one, the severe and legal criminal scandals that Conor McGregor has experienced over time, all right? The primary catalyst for the backlash in Conor McGregor's lengthy history out of the cage conduct, which includes, number one, civil grape liability. A Dublin High Court, as you know, a jury found Conor McGregor civilly, let me be very clear and specific about this, civilly liable for violating someone at a 2018 incident, in particular, somebody by the name of Nikita Hand, okay, subsequently lost his appeal. Now, I have my thoughts and opinions on that. I happen to think that Nikita Hand is a deviant person, and I've gone into details as to why. Go check out the live stream and a video that I did. I would say around maybe November of 2024 when this happened, what I had talked about regarding Nikita Hand. What is it about Nikita Hand that I found to be untrustworthy of this whole entire situation? What is it about Nikita Hand that shows she was lying about this or covering something up? I went into details about this, but that is not the topic at hand that we are talking about. We are talking about why his popularity has declined, in particular in Ireland. All right. So he's lost the appeal. I'm going to get to your comments, guys, in a second. Okay. So bear with me. All right. The assaults on citizens. Okay. Normal civilians and citizens of his country. In 2019, as you know, he pled guilty to assaulting an elderly man at a Dublin pub after the man refused to take Conor McGregor's whiskey. Now, the incident heavily alienated everyday Irish citizens who widely viewed his behavior as rather thuggish. And I got to be honest with you, the Irish, they do have sort of a reputation that leans towards thug life a little bit, right? This is why I say when I look at Conor McGregor, I look at him as the quintessential uh, influence of urban gangster rap culture to mixed martial arts. Because prior to Conor McGregor, if you want to know what MMA looked like, it looked like a bunch of white boys that skateboard all day. All right. Like that was the exterior outlook of what MMA fighters look like. When Conor McGregor came into the game, he brought in the fancy suits looking like a mobster. He brought in the Tupac, the Biggie, the 90s gangster rap culture into MMA. And that is why he calls himself the notorious Conor McGregor, obviously, in respect to the notorious BIG, which he comes out to a whole lot. So we're going to get more on why Conor McGregor is losing support in Ireland. Let me get to these comments first and foremost, okay? So Marty says, now that's some clickbait if I've ever seen one, correct. He says it's already been trending to be bigger than the White House card. Okay. So I see your contentious um, rebuttal to that, which is great, right? This is what we need, right? I happen to think that this is not going to be of a high number as what you would expect of a Conor McGregor card, but we're also going to get to the nuances of that because what do we mean by big? Now, 34 million is big, right? In terms of what the White House has accumulated worldwide. But what does that mean for the standard of Conor McGregor? Because remember, his biggest pay-per-view buys was around maybe 3.8 million pay-per-view buys that he did with Khabib. Now that's 3.8 million buys, meaning that 3.8 million people went out of their way to go cough up $80. So now, what does that mean for free viewership with CBS, Paramount, and elsewhere where different countries may have different ways of, let's say, presenting this fight, right? There are still countries out there that charge pay-per-view. If you are a Canadian mixed martial arts fan, you better believe that you're going to be paying $80 this next coming weekend for Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway. That's what it is. There is still a market for that. So what does that going to mean for Conor McGregor's viewership? So in turn, am I really clickbaiting or am I sort of giving you hints as to what exactly of what I mean when I say that this is going to be low viewership? But if you look at the thumbnail, more importantly, what are the group of people that are not going to support Conor McGregor out of all of this? It's going to be the Irish, right? The Irish are the ones who are not going to support Conor McGregor, and we're going to talk about why. Victory says, I agree. It's not the same Conor, but he's the biggest name in the sport, and he's stayed relevant during his entire layoff because of his shenanigans. That is very true. Hashem has, what is this? I believe this is an Iranian flag that you have right here. Shout out to you, my man. From Russia. I can't read in Russian, but shout out to you, the Russian man. Forget Conor. Mexico is going to beat England. You know what? That is a big game that is coming up in less than a few hours from now. So, yeah, man, keep me updated on that. I'm probably going to watch that later on in particular, probably after this live stream. Scandibigo says Trump crushed the presidential election with everything you said times 10. Conor is the king. This event will crush. Scandibigo says Trump was accused of way more stuff. So are you equating the fact that the UFC White House card did great because of the fact that Donald Trump had all of these scandals going on with him, and as a result, the card is tied to Donald Trump being that, okay, you know what, this is doing good? Because here's the thing, right? I think that the UFC White House card did great, not because of Trump. Okay, I don't think it had anything to do with Trump, and if it did bad, it would have nothing to do with Trump at all. J Rod says hi. Hello, J Rod. Evan James says he's not losing support in Ireland. Social media is deceiving. Liberal media interview college kids who are liberal most normal Irish people support him. He's done a lot for this country. Evan James, I may have to agree with you on that, right? And hear me out, right? This doesn't mean that I'm not going to double down on what I'm talking about, but hear me out on this, right? You are absolutely correct. I also think that part of what you see, the support of what you see, and things of that nature have been extrapolated from videos that you've seen him in the countdown shows, which, by the way, something that I'm going to react to as well, as you've seen in the title. But in the countdown shows, you see him encouraging those who are homeless, those who have, having hard times in Ireland right now, giving them words of encouragement, maybe even slipping a few bands on the side, right, to sort of compensate for whatever it is that they need cash wise, right? So, yes, in that turn and in that regard, Conor McGregor is doing a lot for Ireland in terms of the people within Dublin, within the people of his neighborhood, right? But does that necessarily extend throughout all of Ireland? And the answer is probably not, because to extend that all throughout Ireland, that would also have to consist of the Northern Irish Isles as well, which, by the way, is a highly contested British territory, which brings a lot of controversy between the Catholic and the Protestant beef that Ireland has going on, or has had some, for some centuries now, right? So these are things to consider. So what you're seeing, your eyes are not deceiving you, Evan James. However, there is something to sort of look at and ask, hey, listen, is what I'm seeing an extrapolation of an overall reality that other people may have, different, perspectives on? Okay, like for example, do people in the countryside support Conor McGregor? There's a great chance probably not, because as you know, people who live in Dublin, as opposed to, let's say, the countryside of Ireland or other parts of Ireland, have a completely different culture that is sometimes contrasting to those city folk, city urban metropolis folk versus people that live in the country. Uh, Mario DeLeon says Trump is irrelevant. I watched the fighter. Okay. Scandabigo says no, he won the presidential election. Evan James, he says, I live here. He runs a food van and feeds the homeless weekly. He has been doing that for years. He looks after a lot of people. So um, I don't doubt that, Evan James, right? I don't doubt that. However, you have to understand, as you know, and please forgive me, because I never want to lecture someone over a place that they know better than me, right? Because obviously, I've never been to Ireland, right? And if I was to go visit Ireland, it would be under the capacity of being a tourist, a visitor, and never will I have the pure understanding or the 100% feeling of empathy of what goes on there, right? So I'm going to have to take your word on it. And with that in mind, that is plausible to believe that Conor McGregor would do that for the people of Ireland. When you look at the beginning of Conor McGregor, he was like that. He's no different than he is now. However, he is also a hybrid of the old Conor versus this new age Conor that became an Irish mob boss slash mega superstar that can't walk anywhere on earth without being recognized, right? All these things are true, which brings me to the aspect of how two things can be true at the same time. Is it true that Conor McGregor is highly focused now more than ever? Yes. It is also true that he can potentially still lose this fight to Max Holloway due to inactivity. These are also true. Is it true that Conor McGregor goes out of his way to take care of the homeless people and the people that are struggling in Ireland? This is true. But is it also true that Conor McGregor is capable of rape? I went in details about that when I covered the Nikita Hand situation. I urge you guys to go take a look at that story to see my particular details on it. But just to give you a small synopsis on it, I think that it's also true that Conor McGregor is a hyper aggressive human being, a person that would probably end your life if he could get away with it but he's also a person that, in my humble opinion, is not capable of great. And the reason for that is because I think that there are plenty of people out there in the world that would put out for Conor McGregor, right? And for him to go out of his way, and let me just put it like this, right? Look at Nikita Hand and look at Conor McGregor. If I'm really gonna get red pilled with you guys here. This is banana guy. We're gonna have to oh, what is this? Are you saying W stream? All right, well, thank you. Evan James says he lives outside Dublin in Kidlare. He runs multiple gyms, helps the youth. People love him here, and you are seeing a small group of people who are very loud on social media and news. Okay, so that is something to consider, right? Now, everything that Evan James has mentioned right now, this is obviously something that he's seen firsthand in Dublin, Ireland. And if you've recently just watched the UFC Countdown show with Conor McGregor, obviously those things are also relative in the accounts of Evan James right here on the chat, right? So all these things are true. You also have to understand that yes, two things can be true at the same time. But why? Why are two things true at the same time? It's true that Conor McGregor goes out of his way to help people of Dublin, Ireland, right? Which gives him, positive kudo points to those particular people. But it is also true, and I'm sure Kevin James can attest to this, that the Irish media is ran by left-wing liberals. And in fact, even Conor McGregor himself at one point was a left-wing liberal. In 2013 and 14, McGregor mentioned that he was a fan of Obama. He mentioned that he advocated for gay marriages in Ireland, okay, and went out of his way to the capital of Ireland to basically influence that law to be intact, right? So once again, we're dealing with people that have multiple layers of multiple political opinions, not only multiple political opinions, but also multiple incidents that contrast one to the other. One, beating up on an old man at the pub versus going out of his way to create charity for everyone around him. Aaron Mega says, do you believe it's possible for a Scouser to get knocked out? Scousers don't get knocked out, mate. Evan James says, everyone here knows that case is not true. It's common knowledge here. Now, Evan James, that is true. Okay. Now, for me as an American and from looking at that from the outside as just a mixed martial arts fan, I can absolutely attest to that opinion, right? And I happen to hold those opinions as well. I happen to think that Nikita Hand is a liar. I happen to think that Nikita Hand went out of her way to commit an affair and as a result covered it up by saying that Conor McGregor assaulted her. I absolutely believe that, right? However, you know that the Irish media is liberal. They are liberal, okay? Most of the upper middle class, working class of Ireland is mostly liberal, i.e., Ian Gary's parents, right? This is a reason why Ian Gary has very liberal, progressive ideas like taking the middle name or the last name of his wife, right? Very progressive idea. Where does he learn this? Obviously, from the Irish liberal mindset that is prevalent within the middle class or upper middle class tier of Irish society. Scandabigo says, do not block Banana. It's a great name. I won't. AR says, hi, Kyrie in chat. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? And how's your family? Very good. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe. Conor McGregor is a racist. Thanks. Dang, bro. All right. Scandabigo says, Conor doubled the value of the UFC. That's correct. That's a billion's worth. Conor is the most underpaid fighter in MMA history. I would agree, right? Now, Conor has a lot of money, but Conor also needs to be a billionaire, so there has to be a balance in that. AR says Irish people are good people. I hate Ian Gary and Conor McGregor. Well, there you go. Scanabigo says hello. Derek Forbes says past present tense, he's rich. It's been forgotten, sad but true. past, present tense. He's rich. It's been forgotten, sad but true. So, in other words, what Derek Forbes is alluding to is that all of these things have been forgotten about, right? But also, let's talk about the other aspects of Conor McGregor, right? The decisive political ambitions and rhetoric that he has within politics, right? Listen to this. Conor McGregor at one point pivoted towards politics, further fractured his standings. Okay, is in particular with the Irish, at least with the bigger parts of Ireland, not the hood that Conor McGregor came up in, where obviously there might be still a certain level of support for him, especially if he goes out of his way to help them, right? But other than that, he's leveraged in a very aggressive right wing, anti-immigration platform on social media, particularly during the 2023 Dublin riots, when authorities accused him of incitement rhetoric, like Ireland, we are at war. And this is according to Sky News Sports back in that time. So during that time, 2023, I did a video on Conor McGregor and Tommy Robinson. It's all in the same video, by the way, where basically I'm comparing Conor McGregor to Tommy Robinson, or him becoming the next Tommy Robinson, right? I urge you guys to take a look at that. Very interesting stuff. Of course, just using that opportunity to plug my old videos to sort of keep it active and give it some relevance, because that is what I do live streams and videos for, so that in the future it has some sort of relevance to whatever current state or current events that is going on at that time. All right. So, what about the political rhetoric that Conor was talking about, right? He says, Ireland, we are at war. Okay. When he attempted to mount a bid for the Irish presidency, the political aspirations were completely rejected by unanimously almost the entire country's leadership. All right. We're talking about zero political backing. Okay, what do I mean by zero political backing? He contacted the Irish Parliament and the local councils to secure a spot on the ballot, but politicians roundly rejected him, calling him a tacky, moronic vulgarian. Okay, a populist buffoon and entirely unfit for candidacy. And this is according to ESPN when they tried to speak to Irish politicians. Because remember, Ireland is not the United States. They will not elect people who are famous people like we do here. It's not something that we do. All right. I often reference the movie that Idris Elba and John Cena did, right? Idris Elba was the quintessential reality of what a British prime minister would be. His character was a former British SAS soldier who later became the prime minister, i.e., serving in the military, i.e., serving in the government, i.e., serving as a lifetime career. Whereas John Cena's career as the U.S. president in the movie Heads of State that he did with Idris Elba, he was the United States president with a background in being an action star, almost like an American-born version of Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Highly symbolic of the reality that we have when it comes to American politics versus European politics, right? They take their politics a whole lot more serious than we do. Scandinavigo says Conor is not anti, he's pro his people. Scandinavigo says. Evan James says illegal immigration has destroyed Ireland, and he spoke up for the working class people and gave us a voice in the liberal upper class that has tried to destroy him since. And that's exactly what I mean, Evan James. There is that element of Irish media that will try to destroy him as a result of that. Evan James says because the system is rigged here, you have to be approved by your opponents here to be able to run. Well, there you go, right? So apparently his opponents are the ones that are ultimately going to decide. So I don't know how the Constitution is of Ireland or how those things go. So apparently, according to you, he has to be approved by his opponents, i.e., certain people of importance in the parliament. So aside from the fact that he was being called a populist buffoon, attacky, moronic vulgarian, right? Very interesting choice of words by the upper, middle class, rich parts of Ireland. Vulgarian. He's such a vulgarian, right? It's very Victorian English like, right? So after being called that, let's talk about the abysmal poll numbers that came out of that, right? Public polling dropped him into the others category with less than 2% to 7% support among voters, okay, forcing him to officially withdraw his candidacy. So, in other words, it was a failed project. It's no different than what Chael Sonnen is doing right now, saying that he's going to run for presidency. If you remember back in the days, Bob Backlund in WWE said he was going to do the same thing. It's just by the end of it, Hulk Hogan even did the same thing when he was in the NWO, right? This is just what they do. Jean Kuhn says, see how I can just say the same thing about Irish people, huh? Okay, very interesting. All right, so what about the part where he's alienating other international alignments? Okay, let's talk about Conor McGregor's international public opinion, right? So obviously, the public opinion in Ireland has been critical of Conor McGregor's close alignments with polarizing global figures like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, to name a few, right? When Trump hosted McGregor at the White House for the St. Patrick's Day, Irish leaders, including then, what's this guy's name? Michael Martin, I believe, publicly rebuked Conor McGregor, stating that his actions and statements did not represent the views of the Irish people. And this is according to Times Magazine. 808 Short says, what's the full title of the live? What is the full title of this live? So the full title of this live is Why McGregor versus Max Won't Do Well in Viewership. All right. And I also talk about the UFC 329 countdown reaction, which, by the way, I'll go into a little bit of the countdown reaction that I had noticed, right? I noticed that there was an overall theme between Max Holloway and Conor McGregor, which is what? They both embrace the place that they're from. Max Holloway has never changed training camps. He's never changed trainers all throughout his years. He's maintained the same trainers, the same group of guys ever since, right? Conor McGregor, the same thing. Both guys that never moved out of their circumference, out of their hometown or home city, showing loyalty towards it, right? That was the overall theme that I sort of got um, out of that countdown. So very interesting countdown show to begin with. 808 Shorts says, appreciate it, man. Appreciate you as well, my man. You know, all that I ask is that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please help me to spread my content across the world and anyone you know that may be interested in these subjects, because I bring nothing but raw, clear, uncut, objective news coverage. Daniel Berry says, what's up, peoples? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you as well, my man. And obviously, the World Cup still continues. All right. So, the culture class with Irish modesty. That's the other thing that I wanted to talk about, right? Victory says, just saw a video of Conor in Ireland and people running up to him getting autographs. Okay, so, Victory, here's the thing, right? Of course, that is going to happen. Of course, that's going to happen. All right? That is going to happen. Let me explain why. Ray J, you know Ray J, right? The singer, who recently got knocked out at Aiden Ross's boxing show, but it was actually an MMA fight, so it was his MMA debut, right? He got knocked out in his MMA debut. Do you think people come up to Ray J after that embarrassing MMA debut at the Brand Risk Aiden Ross show and say to him, haha, you got knocked out? Maybe there are some, maybe there's going to be a few hood dudes that, don't like the type of people that Ray J is around, right? Ray J obviously is a known blood member. So let's say if one of his ops comes up to him, okay, that's a rare case, right? But for the most part, most people are going to remember Ray J as Brandy's little brother, Moesha from the Moesha show. Brandy, the singer, I Want to Be Down, 90s R&B superstar, right? That is what they know Ray J as, and they're going to go up to Ray J and say, "Hey, Ray J, can I take a picture with you?" They're not going to ask him, "Hey, why did you get knocked out? Why did you have, a tape with Kim Kardashian or things of that nature?" You often find that a lot of people, believe it or not, are going to be starstruck around other famous people, right? The same people that they hate online, okay, doesn't necessarily extrapolate the same type of behavior that they would exhibit in real life. And we know this because let's be honest about this, right? The majority of people are cowards. I'm sorry to say that. That's just what it is. And obviously, this is not a knock towards Irish people or or people of that particular origin or people of that particular part of the world. I'm just speaking with people in general. All right. In general, most people are cowards. So whenever they see a celebrity that has any type of controversial leanings or any type of controversial stories tied to them, believe it or not, there's going to be very few people that are brave enough to actually confront those people about what it is that they are doing. How many UFC fighters are going to go up to Donald Trump at the time of the White House and say, "Well, I don't like what you're doing with X, Y, and Z country"? You name whatever subject, you could fill in the blank. I'm not going to name any example, just for just to kind of prevent cancellation. Burr, who whatever this guy is, says, "Who the f is this guy?" Well, first of all, who the f are you to even come into my chat first and foremost, asking me who the f I am? I mean, obviously, you see the title, you see what I'm talking about, you see the subject matter that I am speaking of. Am I speaking enough clear language or not? He says, "Why would anyone listen to a casual like you, bro? Anyways, Conor McGregor all day." Do you not realize that you just made yourself sound like a casual? Okay, number one, let's break down what you're saying here. Burr shoot. Okay, Burr. Let's just call you Burr. Let's break down what you're saying here. The last thing that you said. He says, anyways, Conor McGregor all the way. He says, "Why would anyone want to listen to a casual like you?" Number one, how do you even know whether I'm a casual or not? How do you know what type of experience I have in MMA, let alone what type of knowledge that I have in MMA, or how long have I watched, let alone how long have I trained in it? You just don't know. You're a new viewer, which I appreciate. Obviously, I appreciate the fact that you would get out of your way to go and contribute to the chat and say something to, sort of contribute to the algorithm. But at the same time, you're not really speaking from any context or anything that I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that you're just worked up about a few things that I said, but not really understanding the full context of things because nothing in here indicated whether I was going for or against Conor McGregor in any kind of way. Uh, Evan James says, "Listen, man, the average working class people love him, but the political class who ignore the average person hate him." Okay, so I see the dynamics here. Let me read on further. The political class ignores normal people. That's why there's riots now. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense, right? It's sort of that uh, the haves and the have-nots type of conflict, right? Class, social warfare conflict that is prevalent, in the world today, especially with the high cost of inflation that is going around, right? So that is quite strange considering that Conor McGregor is Mr. Money bags. Although he did say in the Ariel Hawani interview that I am a changed man, I am no longer about materialism. And I sort of get that, right? Once you've been in in a class that you've been comfortable with, right? Whether it's like upper middle class or somewhere in the elite class, once you've reached that status, materialism doesn't really matter anymore, right? Like, do you look at Kurt Cobain or when he was alive, or Kendrick Lamar right now, right? These guys are ultra rich, right? From the money that they made in music, but you look at the way that they dress, they don't necessarily dress like somebody that is of a billionaire class to any degree, right? Very simple, just very low profile, right? Not anything extravagant or or to that degree. But yeah, 808 says the fact that he's picking Connor is hilarious. Um, who are you talking about? The guy that says, "Yeah, Connor all the way," and saying that I'm a casual. Okay, I think he would. I think that if he's really sincere about that, then he has some looking into MMA. And yeah, you know what I mean. I'm far from a casual, but yeah, man. But whatever. Um, Silicon says it's pretty obvious Conor McGregor is going to win if you know ball. If you know ball, okay. Explain what that means. Evan James says the fact that he's losing support in Ireland is fabricated and it's fake news. Okay, so once again, Evans, right? You got to understand something. You're from Dublin, so what you are experiencing is only extrapolated by your own experience on the ground. Although your experience on the ground is probably more valuable than, let's say, some average American, MMA content creator that's never been to your part of the world or never spoken to people of your part of the world. However, what we do see online, though, whether you want to call them liberal media or elite media of Ireland, they are a media that exists that are saying these things, right? If you've ever watched Crime World, right? These people that do all of these Irish gangster podcasts, right? Yeah, obviously these people are very much, anti crime, but that means they're also anti working class people because let's face it, who amongst the Irish commit the most crimes? Obviously, the people of working class origins because they have to, sort of do illegal things to provide a better life for themselves, right? That's a given. But there you go, right? It's a natural opposition that you would see if you observe media from around the world, right? So I want you to understand, Evan James, right? Two things can be true at the same time. What you're saying is true that people in Dublin have yet to lose respect for him, and I can absolutely believe that. But the other side of it also is understanding that there is a strong portion of people in Ireland that are against him. And I'm going to explain exactly why that is, right? I'm going to get to your comment about the working class people in a second, right? But I'm going to get to the cultural clash with Irish modesty. All right. Culturally, as you know, the Irish society places high value in humility, self deprecation, sometimes to their own detriment, right? As what you would, the Irish and the British call banter, right? And communal respect. These are the things that the Irish cherish, right? Self deprecation, humility, and communal respect. While Conor McGregor's early flashy trash talk was tolerated when he was winning, his prolonged arrogance combined with his decline in his athletic activity, and believe it or not, these things matter, right? Have suffered multiple losses and devastating injuries. So basically, more content to pile on him. All right, it turned his public image from an inspiring underdog to, unfortunately, what many Irish, at least not from your parts, but enough of the Irish consider as a global embarrassment. Now, here's another thing, right? While there are some segments of the hardcore MMA community or extreme political factions that still follow Conor McGregor online, the general consensus across mainstream Ireland is that, or not just mainstream Ireland, maybe you could even say the liberal mainstream media of Ireland, is that Conor McGregor's behavior has permanently damaged his legacy in Ireland in particular. So Evan James says working class people love him because he speaks up for when the political class ignore us. Okay, Paddy Holohan, who has his teammate in his local council doing work too. Yes, man. Shout out to Paddy Holohan. I've watched his podcast in the past before. Very brilliant stuff, and obviously, as you know, very brilliant man. Scandabigo says, "I'm not buying in the new religious materialistic bit from Connor. He has signed a new long-term partnership with one X bet." Yeah, yeah. Did you see that Poly Market commercial where he's a fat guy in a couch and then use all doubted me and then ripped out his fake body and then looking all cut up, ready to fight Max Holloway? Like, yeah. Um, Evan James says, I have cousins in different countries, in different counties. Okay, so you have different cousins in different counties of Ireland and have been all around Ireland. I'm just telling you the stance of normal, everyday Irish people. And Evan James, I'm not doubting you as well, right? But you also have to understand, um, well, only you would know this, right? Is it a possible echo chamber between you guys? Like, is it that maybe you guys are unanimously in agreement with Conor McGregor? Because Evan James, here's something that you can't deny. You can't deny the greatness of Conor McGregor, right? But you also can't deny the reality of the things that he has committed in the past that, as you would imagine, would disgust most people, and in particular, people that are less forgiving outside of the MMA communities. Um, but you know what? I'm getting rid of you, bro. I'm gonna get rid of this dude. Yeah, you look. I'm gonna tell you why, right? I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna get rid of you. That first of all, that comment that you said right there about, well, surprise, surprise, Conor McGregor is a star. Of course, you would talk about him. And then you say, okay, well, you're only here for views and it's hard out there or this and that. What a stupid thing to say. So you're telling me that I shouldn't go out there and hustle, or I shouldn't go out there and try to get views, or I don't know, man. Like, whenever somebody says you're just doing it for views, yeah. Why else would we turn on our monetization button on YouTube? All right. But yeah, I let you I let you figure that one out, man. I let you figure that one out. So yeah. All right. So what else? What else do we have going on with Conor McGregor? Um yeah, we're probably going to do more coverage about this particular fight as as time progresses. But as of now, hmm, as of now, I think we're gonna call this one quits for now, right? I just wanted to kind of get in here, briefly talk about why Conor McGregor, um, is not going to have the most viewership that you think he is. You also got to understand, right? This is clashing with the World Cup. This is also clashing with many things that are going on in the world. And more importantly, I need you to understand, right? A lot of people out there right now, they don't like their lives. Okay. They hate their lives. Okay. I need you guys to understand that first and foremost, right? A lot of people right now, they hate their lives. Their lives are miserable for one reason or another. And as a result of that, they project it to people online. They see somebody online that they may not necessarily agree with. And instead of engaging with that person, in a matter of intelligence, in a matter of intellectual discourse, in the same way that Evan James is doing with me right now. Instead, they go in there and they, spew all types of hate. They say all types of stupid and negative comments just to feel better about themselves. But you are only projecting the reality of your life, which is that of misery and a life of non fulfillment. And I feel sorry for you. I pray for you. And I hope that you do better in life. Evan James says, no, I've looked at it from all angles. No one condones some of the stuff he's done, but everyone here still supports him. He does more good than bad. His support still is the same as ever. Scandivigo says, I told you Brazil is mentally weak. They are out. Dang, bro. So Brazil is finally out. Thank you for reminding me of that. I know Norway is still in there right now. So that's good. Yeah, Norway is still in there. Um, yeah, yeah. Norway is still in there. Okay. Yeah, they have what was that? Who did Norway play? Was it Brazil that they played? He said, yeah, was it Brazil that they played? Who did Norway play? Yeah, Brazil is out. Eesh. That's rough, man. All right, let's see. Yes, okay. All right. Well, who do we have tonight? We got England and Mexico tonight. That should be fun. That should be fun right there. England versus Mexico. Um, let's see here. Speaking of which, just wanted to show you a couple of news clips that I got up here. You know, just a little throwaway news that I got going on. So, all right. So what do we have here? Sacramento Sheriff County's office said involved in a shooting. So obviously there's a shooting going on in I-80 this Sunday, which is today. So this was 4 hours ago. How about this? Donald Trump, right? Says thank you to FIFA for doing the right thing, reversing a great injustice. So obviously Donald Trump was influential in overturning a red card against Belgium, one of the U.S. teams. So what happens in soccer is if you get a red card, you can't play in the next game. So, and then there's fires going on in Sacramento County right now, just to kind of highlight this for you guys. Oh, wow. What is this? This is a fire that is a love sign? What is that? A heart sign. Very interesting stuff. Okay. All right. This one right here from my
Wrong. We're weak. We're spineless now. Aussies in general are spineless. You still have your hard, proud Aussies, but in general, they suffer from suicidal empathy. And if you've read these religious books, whether it be Quran, Talmud, Torah, any of the collections of the Hadith, doesn't matter. You'll understand that their way is their way, and that means it's going to be their way over your way, and they will take over you. It's 100%. It's already happening statistically.
They're militant about it.
They're militant about it. And many of them don't even hide it. They go, we come into Australia. We consider it hijab.
We're not here to take part, we're here to take over.
This is our part of West Sydney, mate. Don't fuck around. You don't go to those places in West Sydney and start going, Australia this, Christianity this. They'll be like, see this guy. And because the Arabs are strong. We're weak, we're spineless now. The Arabs are strong.
All right. And then more news. ICE deports a Dallas Muslim imam, Omar Soliman. Strangely enough, I was actually just watching a lecture of his a couple of days ago. Scandinavigo says, "Do you think Sneeko is good or bad for Muslims?" I think he's good for Muslims, right? For the most part. Now, obviously, there's some things that I'm not going to necessarily agree with Sneeko about. However, Sneeko tries hard. He tries to fit into the fundamentals of Islam and fit his lifestyle according to that. So very hard for me to say, you know, anything really bad about him. So, okay. So according to this, Olaman was born and raised in New Orleans. He is an American, was not detained or deported by ICE. Okay. So very important to know that. Tupac's final show. Okay, we can't really play that right there, but you guys know what Ambitions as a Rider sounds like. So apparently, this is footage of Tupac, July 4th, 1996, the final show that he did before he was gunned down in Vegas of September. So I believe this was the House of Blues performance that Tupac was a part of. And yeah, that was his last and final performance ever. So, all right, guns could be shipped directly to homes under major rule. So a new rule proposed by Trump administration would allow direct shipment of guns of buyers in homes. That could be one of the biggest challenges to gun regulations in recent history. Okay, so very interesting stuff. A little comment right here that I mentioned. George Washington demonstrated that you can fight an empire of tyrants. However, war is not just won through technique and aggression, but also through the art of diplomacy, allies, resources, and morale wins wars. Okay, so that was a little thing for 4th of July. So, all right, Cardi B says, Cardi B goes in on CNN and drops a real history lesson. And she says, if it wasn't for Black Americans, Caribbeans, and Latinos wouldn't be thriving here. And I said in comments, man, Carlos and Juan ain't going to like this. But what do you expect? She's a blood Pyru. That's black card. In other words, she's from a black gang, right? Not a Latino gang, even though she's of Latino descent. So, you know, of course, she's going to say that. How about this? Oscar De La Hoya goes in on Turkey El Sheikh. So, Oscar de la Hoya, Turkey and Sella. He says, you can't call up any fighters you want to make a fight. You can't put fights on any networks you want. That's why you're getting sued left and right. It's what you wanted to call a peace meeting between Frank and Eddie over the war that you started. And apparently, as you know, Eddie Hearn has mentioned how Turkey El-Sheikh loves the effery, and that's exactly what is going on. Nothing but efferys that is going on right here. So a little comment that I made on the World Cup. I said all the non-Muslim white majority nations are getting smashed to bits in the World Cup. Thank God, America, we're not getting smashed. We're actually winning, and America is no longer a white majority. USA, USA, let it fly because it doesn't apply. And then Lee Houston says, 56 to 60% is still the majority, or do you mean the team itself? So I wrote, well, your stats aren't wrong, both for USA Soccer and for our population. I just thought it would be funny to extrapolate the demographics of our national team as a representation of our actual population. And then Lee says, got you. I just needed to understand, it's my downfall. Abraham says, out of 15 teams left, 2 are Christian Crusaders. Out of the 2 Muslim teams left is Morocco and Egypt. Morocco is by far the best equipped team to win the World Cup, but they have to beat France next. If they do that, they could win the final, beating the previous best of the semifinals in Qatar 2022. All right. So what else did I have here? I said that George Washington was a British terrorist like Tommy Robinson, except George Washington was actually British military with records you could dig up in Sandhurst. Meanwhile, Tel Aviv Tommy has military records too as a Mossad asset. And this angry Englishman comments back at me and he says something to the effect of, you know everything about fuck all. Tommy Robinson is a terrorist. He doesn't blow up people in the name of a make-believe person. The only terrorist in our country is the rapists and murderers and abuse our innocent children and think it's acceptable because they can abuse in their own country. So I wrote, so Washington had a cause, so did Tommy Robinson. I don't have to agree with them, just like you don't have to agree with Scotland Yard and how they view Tommy Robinson as a terrorist. Nad says he's not a terrorist, maybe, but your definition of terrorism is way off. Dropping bombs, slaughtering children is not terrorism in the eyes of people like you, double standards. This guy fought in the UFC, by the way, Nad Narami. So, yeah, this dude fought in the UFC. So just so you guys know, shout outs to him. Mark says, we live in a country with a 2-tier police system. I ain't getting into it because I will be one of them races, the races that can't fly an English flag in England because of yada yada. But anyways, yeah, because of what did he say? Because of offense to skids. All right. So what else here? What else? What else other news do we have here? Yeah, I post these two, literally. Okay, so obviously this is the entrance.
Broadcast in 45 seconds.
A little throwback from last week, of course.
4, 3, 2, by someone. Got it. 35. When the president Dana left the Oval Office, I remember thinking, I'm not going to get back to the command center to see.
All right, so let's see here.
This is called Sub Soccer. I've been watching it nearly every day for weeks. Not because it's thrilling, it's not, but because of this guy with the orange shoes. He played in the game on April 3rd, then another the next morning, and another right after that. Well, he scored dozens of goals. I never once saw him celebrate because he's not playing to win. Neither are these people playing cricket, basketball, volleyball, water polo, tennis, and table tennis. 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 3-on-3, and 2-on-2 soccer. These so-called frostball players aren't playing to win, nor are the guys playing whatever you call this. They're playing on fake teams with familiar names, in anonymous buildings without spectators, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, sold to give people like you and me something to gamble on. These are sports betting farms. We're at the point in society where sports betting and gambling has started to permeate back into the real world, to where now people are creating real world things to be doing based off of the demand that there is for placing bets online. And this didn't come out of nowhere. This is something that has been developing for many years.
And you know what? The reason why this, I mean, look, this is also the reason why there's a lot of UFC Apex shows. I want you to think about that.
Put their time and their money into gamble. And this isn't because that they're doing well. No, this is because people are desperate. They're trying to find a way out of their situation. And these are the links at which they're going to, not only as the people participating in the sports, but also the people, obviously, who are sitting back and betting on this as a way to try to make money, when in reality, these platforms are all set up to extract all of that money that they have left away. This is not going away. This is going to get bigger and bigger, and that is exactly why we created No Dice, to serve as a community and a place where we can create a counter force against all of this manipulation that's being done, especially to young men and young people who are just trying to find a way to survive. This is not the way out, and we have to make that clear so that more and more people don't get harmed as this industry continues to grow. Like this post and follow.
All right. So this World Cup final, we could have England versus US on the 250th anniversary of fighting each other, the Union Jack versus the Stars and Stripes. So, all right. And this is also the reason why I kept telling you guys why there might not be high viewership on this one. Check this out, right? July 11th, 5 p.m., you got the quarterfinals. 9 p.m., you got the other quarterfinals, and then you got Max Holloway and Conor McGregor all in the same night, right? It's very hard to compete with that, right? And obviously, this was me boxing during July 3rd, so just kind of showing off a little bit of some boxing skills here. All right, and Justin Gaethje goes back to the White House to visit 2 weeks after his victory. He had his family there. There's Ali Abdelaziz. There's Donald Trump Jr. Not sure who that gentleman is all the way in the right, but yeah. And what do we have here? Indonesian military recovers body of a U.S. pilot shot by separatist rebels.
Jenazah akan dibawa ke Jakarta.
The body will be taken to Jakarta, handed over by the Indonesian government
Amerika Serikat.
To the U.S. government and the family in Jakarta.
Mau cari kita. Jangan penyisiran ke masyarakat. Distrik Sabang dengan distrik Linia. Jangan telepon datang.
All right, and then once again, there's Justin Gaethje with Donald Trump at the Oval Office, returning back. What is this? Adrian Broner tries to fight Dean the Great. What is this?
I'm not playing, bro. Ain't no nigga gonna keep playing with me. All right, we chill out. Ain't no nigga gonna keep playing with me. Nah. They going with you. Stop, bro. Yeah, they going with you. Or what? It is though. Or what? I'm not gonna fuck with you at all. Or what? That's cool. All right, then nigga. I'm popping it to me, nigga. Like I did. Nah, nigga. Fuck out with all that. You keep playing with me. Disrespecting me, nigga. Nah, you gonna fuck me. You is though. Fuck, nigga. Bro. What you doing? Touch me, bro. And you keep fucking disrespecting me like I did something, nigga. Fuck you. We're not doing that. Just chill, please. Just chill, please. I'm not your piece of nigga. I'm grateful like shit, nigga. I'm just a wrong nigga. Nigga, do it. Let's do it, though. Shut up, kid. Stop. Bro, you know that. You disrespecting the wrong nigga, though. Disrespecting the wrong. Call it. Disrespecting the wrong nigga, though.
What happened here? Did he?
No, bro. Let's do it, though. Shut up, kid.
Oh man. All right. And then what do we have right here? Okay, Andrew Galata training to not hit the below the belt.
They're gonna be hitting him in the chest.
And he ended up hitting him below the belt anyway. What else do we have here? Okay. All the racist white guys are cheering for this guy right here getting his Mexican flag taken down. Look at this. All right. How about this? A clash between the Egypt's national team and Dallas police. All right. And boxing news says Turkey El-Sheikh reveals that he owns 60% of Zuffa Boxing. Not a surprise there. But for whatever reason, they can't be out in the open about it. This was the forest fire I was showing you guys earlier in North Sacramento. So wow, yeah, it literally burnt down right here. It started from this, okay, and then it just burnt down to this, just into a rubble. And then how about that couple, right? That proposed to each other. Um, yeah, man. Apparently they've been doing this for quite some time, man. They were traveling around the world just, you know, climbing skyscrapers. This is just what they did. But yeah, they were arrested though, but so yeah, let's see. What is this? Gen Z joined in the military.
Are ineligible for military service. And this fact has the Pentagon freaked out. And according to some sources, this number is getting worse every single year. And it's not because people don't want to join, but because they simply can't. And when you break this number down, there's really four main reasons why most Americans are unfit for military service. And much of this has to do with your health as well as fitness. And we're talking about things like asthma, high blood pressure, or a lack of basic physical fitness that would disqualify most people. And nowadays, people are more likely to stay at home compared to any other era, which is a huge problem for the US military. In addition to this, there's also things like mental health that require a waiver, as well as a mountain of paperwork in order for you to join. And anybody with ADHD medication, as well as suppression, are automatically flagged. And we're not even talking about other issues like education, as well as having a criminal background. And a huge number of high school grads can't even hit the minimal score for the military entrance exam. And all this creates a perfect storm with the US military declining every single year. And as a result, they have raised bonuses and even introduced a 90-day camp before basic that gets people back in shape. And that's a roughly 7.
All right, and obviously right now we are awaiting Mexico versus England. I believe this one is going to take place in a couple of hours from now. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, man. Yeah, just a couple of things I posted here. What is this? How about this? Check this out right here.
On behalf of all the countries outside America and their media and the narrative they paint about America, hundreds and thousands of fans for the World Cup are now seeing America through their own eyes, realizing the narrative they've been fed is false. And they're now realizing America is not the place that they thought it was. And I am sorry the media in these countries outside of America paint you the way they do. America is rich in culture, scenery, the people are amazing. And the media in the countries outside of America paint this weird narrative that it's a place that you shouldn't go. But now the tides are changing. There is a shift that is happening. And I'm sorry you've been painted in this light for so long. And I'm so happy America is finally receiving the flowers that it deserves. We've all seen the videos of the Europeans experiencing America for what it truly is, and it's amazing. When I first landed in America all those years ago, I came with an open mind. I saw it through my own eyes, and it's exactly what is happening right now with all the traveling fans for the World Cup and the foreigners, they are seeing America through their own eyes, and they're realizing how amazing it actually is. America.
All right, let's hear this.
It's a World Cup. It looked like the Dutchman is vibing to me. It looked like the Scotch is vibing to me. They pulling up to MLB games and Boston turning that.
Damn, man, even MLB games too. They said all the Scottish people drank all the beer.
They turned Times Square into a whole different color. It's Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro. Yo, they're out now.
They in Texas eating that good barbecue. Everything bigger in Texas. It look like the Ecuadorians is vibing to me. They in front of the Rocky statue in Philly trying to be a part of the next movie. It look like the Cheyennes is vibing to me. They in Fort Worth with cowboy hats on at the rodeos having fun. It look like the English is vibing to me. Well, at least the harsh weather was just for one night. Okay, they did get their stuff stolen. They got it stolen.
Oh, wow. They got their English got their stuff stolen. Damn, that's crazy. All right. So what else? All right. So the other day, victory for the US 2-1-2-0 against Bosnia. That was a good one. Oh, how about this? This couple that I mentioned earlier.
Two people climbed, thank you, Tom. Two people climbed to the top of the Empire State Building, not just to the top, to the tippity top. Looks like they have some type of a flag with them. We're trying to stay away because we're not sure what that flag says. We want to make sure that it doesn't have inflammatory or swear words or anything on that flag. But both of them are masked, but certainly they are there for a message. We are going to be as careful as possible. We're working with Skyfox out of New York City, our broadcast partner.
So apparently we found out that later on they just did that to propose to each other, saying that they did it for love or this and that or some other cheesy stuff. But yeah, that's literally what it is. Anyways, what else? What else do we got here? All right. Some picture from 2 years ago. How about this? $2 tickets for Sacramento, some old movies that they got going on there. All the hardcore MAGA guys are like these Aussies now. All right, all right. So what else here? What else? What else here? Oh wow, how about this in Long Beach? It's back in
so-called teen takeover, with fights erupting in the streets and reports of attempted robberies. The chaos dragged on for hours, disrupting the entire area. Police took nearly 3 hours to regain control, pulling officers away from real 911 emergencies across the city. Despite the scale of the incident, there were 0 arrests. In the end, only 5 teens were cited for curfew violations and released back to their parents. Moments like this raise serious concerns about public safety, accountability, and what can be done to stop it from happening again.
All right, guys. So listen, that is all. That is all that I have for you guys right now. Wanted to give you guys 40 minutes of why Conor McGregor's support has declined and why the viewership of this particular show is going to go down and not as expectedly as high as maybe the White House or other previous Conor McGregor cards in comparison to the ratio of a pay-per-view as opposed to, let's say, app TVs or subscription-based, forms of watching a fight. But in any regard, guys, that is all that I have for you on this one. It's been a great content, been a great time doing this live stream with you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.